grab bar, measure from the finished floor to the center line of the grab bar. The center line of the grab bar should be mounted between 33 and 36 inches above the floor.
Is the center line of the grab bar mounted between 33 inches and 36 inches above the floor?
Let me check that out for you.
Okay.
35.5 inches.
Okay, thanks.
Now we'll measure the space between the wall and the grab bar.
Is the space between the grab bar and the wall 1.5 inches exactly?
Let me check that for you. It's 1.5 inches exactly.
Okay, thanks.
Next, we will measure the length of the grab bar.
Is the grab bar no more than 12 inches of the back wall?
Let me check for you. It's exactly 12 inches.
Okay, got it. And at least 42 inches long?
Let me check for you. It's exactly 42 inches.
Okay, thanks.
When measuring the length of bar, it is important to remember to begin your measurement from the center of the flange of one end of the grab bar to the center of the flange of the other end of the grab bar. Many times while measuring the grab bars, the survey team has found that contractors install the grab bars incorrectly because they are measuring from either end of the flange, not from the center of the flange.
Now we will see if we have an unobstructed turning space of 60 inches in the bathroom. And as you can see, we do have an unobstructed turning space of 60 inches in the bathroom.
In addition to taking the measurement of the unobstructed turning space with a 60-inch round plastic tablecloth, you can also use a measuring tape. We will show you how to measure the unobstructed turning space using a measuring tape when we go into the kitchen. The survey team is now ready to survey the lavatory or the sink. Because it is important to read the tape measure at eye level, you will find that you need to do a lot of bending down. So to minimize the amount of times that you are bending down to take a measurement, it is a good idea to take as many measurements as you can while you are holding the tape measure in place. For instance, when dealing with the height and knee clearance of the lavatory, you can take both of these measurements at the same time.
Is the top of the rim of the lavatory no more than 34 inches above the floor?
It's 34 inches.
Okay, and is the bottom of the apron at least 29 inches above the floor?
It's 30 inches.
The survey team is now ready to survey the kitchen. They will measure the width and knee clearance of the kitchen counter, the height of the kitchen counter, the height of the wall cabinet storage, and the unobstructed turning space.
Is there at least 130-inch wide section of the counter with knee clearance?
All right, let me check that for you. I've got 36 inches wide.
And is there it at least 27 inches high?
It's 29 inches high.
Okay. And is the surface no more than 34 inches above the floor?
And the surface is 33.5 inches above the floor.
Okay, got it.
Moving on to the height of the wall cabinet, you want to make sure that the bottom shelf is no more than 48 inches above the floor. Because the wall cabinet is not as deep as the counter and bottom cabinet, there are two steps to measuring the height of the bottom shelf of the wall cabinet. Measure from the floor to the top of the counter, then measure from the top of the counter to the bottom shelf of the wall cabinet. Then add these two measurements together to get the height of the bottom shelf of the wall cabinet. The survey team will now measure the unobstructed turning space in the kitchen using a tape measure. To calculate the unobstructed turning space using a tape measure, extend the tape measure to approximately 90 inches, with 60 of those inches on the floor. Step on the tape measure at 30 inches. While keeping the tape measure at 60 inches, rotate the tape measure with your foot to measure a circle with a diameter of 60 inches. The survey team will now take the measurement of the width of the accessible route and the slope and cross slope of the ramp. You need to make sure that the minimum clear width of the accessible route is at least 36 inches. And as you can see, the minimum clear width of the accessible route is 74.5 inches. An accessible route includes all walks, halls, corridors, aisles, and any other space that connects an accessible unit with accessible buildings, facilities, elements, and spaces on the same site. An accessible route shall also be provided from public transportation stops, accessible parking, and sidewalks to the accessible building entrance they serve. However, an accessible route cannot include stairs. When measuring the slope, you want to make sure the slope is no more than 8.33%. And as you can see, the slope is 6.6%. You also want to check that the cross slope is no more than 2%. And the cross slope is 0.7%. That concludes our program on Section 504 accessibility measuring, and we hope that you have learned some of the basic steps for measuring effectively.